I'm Matthew Sloan. The Wildcats bounce back from a homecoming loss and steal a victory at Texas A&M Commerce on their homecoming.
And today marks the last home game for ACU as a Division II team. West Alabama paying a little visit to Shotwell Stadium. I'm Taylor Langston, and this is the Ken Collums Show. Thanks for joining us here on the Ken Collums Show. I'm Taylor Langston. Here with me is ACU Optimist sports writer Matthew Sloan and, of course, head coach Ken Collums. ACU coming off 2 straight conference losses to get a much-needed and deserved victory over Texas A&M Commerce. Coach, it's got to be a good feeling to get another LSC victory under your belt. Are you feeling a little bit relieved?
Well, it's always a good idea to get on the bus after a win. It feels way better, just a sense of, you know what, we just went out and won a college football game. And it doesn't really matter if it's right now, if it's conference or if it's out of conference. We just needed a win, and that's what we did. It didn't look as pretty as we would have liked, but you know what? A win is a win, and we feel pretty good about it.
Coach, you've been hanging around 500 pretty much all season. Win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game. How much are you guys focused on winning more than you lose and finishing up this season as winners?
Well, the thing is, you don't ever really try to forecast anything at all. The thing that we talk about every day is you win the game throughout the week. You win the game. Hey, guys, let's win the game in today's practice on Tuesday or Wednesday and Thursday. And what you end up doing is you put together a resume of practice, and what you do at the end of the week, hey, is this hard work, is this resume worthy of a win? And a lot of times we've done that this year. We just hadn't gone out and played as clean as the other team, and but on Saturday we did.
How much better does a win feel after getting off to a late start like you guys did? You had an impressive fourth quarter. Does that make it just a little bit better?
Well, it relieves a little bit because offensively we did okay in the first half. We only had 3 possessions, and we went down the field the first 2 times and made a mistake there on our second drive with the interception. And then we kind of sputtered around, but ultimately in the second half, we made enough plays on defense, made enough plays on offense to win the game. So it feels good regardless. But winning it with an 85-yard touchdown pass, that's pretty cool.
Right, and we've got all the details of that game and the game summary when we get back. Texas A&M Commerce going down to ACU 17-24. Keep it right here on K-Texas. We'll be right back on the Ken Collums Show. Welcome back. ACU went into the locker room at halftime trailing Commerce 14-3, but emerged a different team, managing to pull out a late fourth quarter touchdown to seal the game. Here's a look at that 24-17 victory over the Lions. The Wildcats got off to an early start with a few passes downfield. Daryl Cantu, Harkless, and Taylor Gabriel not quite showing enough for 6, but they do put Ryan Owens close enough for a field goal. Commerce tries to get things going on foot, but Angel Lopez says no sir with a big hit. After a fumble is recovered by quarterback Kevin Bye, the Lions are able to pull it together. They trudge down the field yard by yard, and all too soon they're sitting pretty in the end zone. A short run for Wayne Chapman, and the Lions are up 7-3. Charkandrick West with back-to-back runs, and the Cats are looking good to pull ahead, but Mitchell Gale throws an interception to end the first quarter, and it's Lions ball. Commerce takes over, and it was the Garrett Smith show on this possession. 2 receptions lead to this 28-yard pass and another Commerce touchdown. The Cats keep working the run, but it's not giving ACU the results they want. Spencer Covey in to punt it away, and Texas A&M Commerce takes over once again. The Lions try to confuse ACU a little bit with the reverse, but it's sniffed out by the Wildcat defense. ACU puts a stop to Texas A&M Commerce just in time to take a halftime break. The Cats go into the locker room down 14-3. Defense returns to the field, and Commerce is unable to convert a third down, and ACU has another chance to move the chains. But the ACU possession doesn't last long. A bit of confusion here after Mitchell Gale thought he was down. Commerce sweeps in to pick up the ball and runs it back to the ACU 15. Defense comes in with another couple of red zone stops to keep Commerce out of the end zone, but they kick it up to stretch their lead 17-3. Darrell Cantu Harkless on the return, giving ACU great field position, and Mitchell Gale takes advantage of that with the help of Taylor Gabriel. A pass to Darian Hogg to the corner of the end zone is just what the doctor ordered for the ACU offense, narrowing the Lions to a 7-point lead. And Angel Lopez just spears this receiver into the ACU sideline. Taylor Gabriel back to return, and he does just that to the Commerce 42-yard line. Darrell Cantu Harkless fighting for yards, staying on his feet and pushing past a few defenders. He gets up and on the next play runs in the rock, giving ACU its second third-quarter touchdown, and it's a tied game. Commerce gets a long gain early, but it's time for the defense to shine. One red zone stop after another, and Texas A&M Commerce is forced to kick another field goal, but it's wide left. ACU gets the ball on their own 20-yard line. Back-to-back turnovers right here. Mitchell Gale is sacked and loses the ball. Justin Stevens just so happened to be at the right place at the right time, giving the Cats the second chance they need. But the Commerce defense putting on the pressure. The Wildcats don't get a first down, and the Lions take over again on their own 30. Some unhappy players out there on the field, and they are not afraid to show it. Defensive lineman Rob Boyd gets ejected along with another Texas A&M Commerce player. They resume play, and Commerce is forced to punt it away. Taylor Gabriel falling on the ball. Darian Hogg picks up on the cover two and calls out his own play to get past the Commerce D. He takes it 85 yards into the end zone to put the Cats up 24-17. The Lions look to do the same, but Justin Stewart picks up on that and steps in to take overtime hopes away from Commerce with this interception.
It felt really good to help my team out. Coach just called me, but he called and I just ran the defense. Quarterback threw it up because they were desperate, so I just went for that.
I just told Coach the job before. The safeties aren't getting off the hashes. They were coming too. If we ran the play we ran, we'd have some success with it. Luckily, we called it. O-line held up, just threw it, ran it in.
Coach, you mentioned being just a little bit more relieved after that win, a great conference win that you guys really needed. How's the fire this week in practice? Are you guys feeling a little bit more of that spark?
Well, the thing is, as a head coach, I have learned that sometimes it's after the wins that you got to fuss at your guys a little bit more. So I fussed at them a little bit on Tuesday, and we ran a little bit extra just to make sure we weren't losing our edge or thinking we were better than we are. And that just kind of goes natural with men. We tend to do that from time to time. But, no, things are good. The tempo's good this week. We're still going offense versus defense as much as we can. As long as there's carryover from the defense and the offense that we're going to face, in the upcoming game, we'll tend to do that a little bit more. So things are good. Practice is good, and everything's looking positive.
Coach, Darian Hogg came out, maybe the hero of the game offensively. A couple second-half touchdowns, including that 85-yarder. And I know he had something to do with that play call. Could you take us through what happened on that long touchdown pass?
Oh yeah. See what nobody really sees most of the time is just the interaction between our offensive coaches and our offensive players. One thing we talk a lot about is trust, and because any organization, any relationship is based on trust, and when you've got a level of trust, you listen to the other person, you take the information, and you go from there. Well, these receivers have been around, a good while, and I trust them, and they've earned that trust. And so we always, when they come to the sideline, we always ask them, hey, what's the corner doing? Where are his eyes? Is he leveling off? Is he opening up his hips? Talking to me about the safety. Is he on the hash? Are his eyes in the backfield? And that was simply a case of Darian coming to the sideline after our previous 3 and out, which was a pretty ugly series. He said, hey, Coach, when we're on this hash, the safety's not When we vertical release, the safety's not getting off the hash. So that led us all to believe, hey, let's run this next play, and it should work. And in our huddle before the play call, I said, hey, if we get some protection, don't be surprised if we end this thing on this play. All right, and I don't say that much, and whether that obviously that didn't have anything to do with it, but we were able to protect, and Darian was able to run by the guy, and Mitchell put it on him.
When you've talked about passion, and we saw maybe a little bit too much of that, things got kind of heated out there. 5 penalties for a loss of 66 yards, resulting in an ejection of one ACU player, one player from Texas A&M Commerce. What was the situation out there?
Well, the thing is, in the first half, well, let me rewind to our night before and the entire week. The big thing I asked for was passion. We always talk about playing football is a balance of passion and discipline. And you can't be too heavy on passion. You can't be too heavy on discipline. You've got to have both to be a good football player. The night before, I asked them, hey, if we've got to give a little bit of the discipline, that's okay, but I want heavy passion. I want you to go out, fly around, run and hit, make tackles, have fun. I want to see passion. Well, we didn't do that in the first half at all. I think anybody that watched the game realized, hey, this team's not playing with any passion. And I always tell them before the game, I am so ready to watch you guys as the head coach, standing on the sideline. I'm ready to watch you guys perform. I've seen you prepare. I'm ready to watch you play. And I didn't really enjoy watching them play, to be honest, in the first half. I don't think we played with passion, and that's the number one thing I asked for. In the second half, we did. And yes, anytime you're heavy on passion, sometimes your poise kind of teeters a little bit. And Rob lost his cool, and I'm still not quite sure what happened. You don't really know, and the officials half the time don't even know. They just see the retaliation and the aftermath. But Rob's a great guy, great competitor. Just lost his poise, reacted to something improperly, so he doesn't get to play this week. So I'm pretty mad at him right now. I fussed at him pretty good, but like I say, he's a great kid, great heart, and he probably needs a break. I just wish he didn't have to take one against West Alabama. But who knows what happened? All I know is our guys were playing hard. We were getting some calls that were going against us, and that probably added a little bit of fuel to the fire. But as a player, you can't do that. Doesn't matter what the situation is. You push the envelope on your passion, but you got to keep your poise.
Coach, your defense in between the 20s seems to give up a bunch of yards, but in the red zone all year they've played well, going back to that Cowboy Stadium game in Tarleton, and a couple of interceptions in the red zone in the fourth quarter to seal the victory. How are you guys able to play so well in the red zone?
Well, in between, we call that the open field. In the freewheeling open field, 20 to 20, you've got to have guys that can run and hit and play defense. Well, we've had 5 linebackers hurt for the season, and that's tough. You can't keep replacing those guys and expect to get stop after stop. So we're going to give a little bit, and that's kind of naturally the way things have played out. But when we get to the red zone, when people get us backed up, our guys are in the right spot because the field shrinks a little bit. You don't have to run and cover quite as much. And and against Commerce, we were able to get some heat on the passer, and that's the bottom line. A guy's drop back passing, if you don't get heat on him, they're going to complete passes, and we were able to do that.
Well, stay with us. When we return, we'll talk a little bit more about the matchup between ACU and West Alabama taking place here shortly. It's all right here on the Ken Collums Show.
Welcome back to the Ken Collums Show. The winter sports are starting to heat up while the boys and girls of fall are preparing for playoff runs. Here's Jimmy Isbell and Brookley Golly with the scoop for the rest of the Wildcat sports.
Welcome to the JMC Network Sportscast. I'm Brookley Golly.
And I'm Jimmy Isbell. The Abilene Christian soccer team defeated the Midwestern State Mustangs 2-0 late Friday at the Wildcat soccer pitch. The team enters the Lone Star Conference seeded 5th. Its first round opponent will once again be the Mustangs. Senior captain Julie Coppage was awarded All-Conference, All-Academic for a 3rd straight year. She was a second-team honoree as a freshman in 2009 and first-team All-Selection through 2010-2012. As always, it's hard to beat a team twice, but the Mustangs will look for revenge after losing last weekend to the Cats.
I think that we've always been playing well, but now we're just kind of playing more together and we're meshing as a team and we're starting to play finally to our full potential. So I think it's not necessarily we're playing better, I just think we're playing as good as we know we can.
The ACU men's basketball team went head-to-head with Baylor University last Thursday. Baylor outscored ACU 31-7 in the final 10 minutes of the game, leaving the final score in the Bears' hands at 103-75. The teams were tied at 25 with 10 minutes left in the first half. Unfortunately, they were unable to put up many more in the second half. The Wildcats were led by senior center Stephen Warner, who had 15 points. Senior guards Elliott Lloyd and Eric Lawton each finished with 12 points, and freshman guard Parker Wentz contributed 11 points to ACU. The regular season will be underway for the Wildcats on November 10th in Dallas, where they will compete against Dallas Baptist University.
The Wildcat football team looks to close out their final home game against a worthy opponent in the West Alabama Tigers. Quarterback Mitchell Gale looks to finish his last home game in the purple and white with a win. Gale needs just 583 more passing yards in his last 2 regular season games to be within the ranks of former ACU quarterback Billy Malone, who threw for more than 12,000 yards. If Gale succeeds, he will be the second quarterback in the LSC and ACU history to surpass that passing milestone. For the JMC Network Sportscast, I'm Jimmy Isbell.
And I'm Brookley Golly. We'll see you again next week.
Now here's Elizabeth Weiss with an inspiring story about a girl with talent in the palm of her hand.
This is Natalie Hudson.
I think the biggest challenge is just trying to make it look like I have a left hand and trying to figure out when the instructor does a left-handed move how I'm going to figure that out.
She may have been born without a left hand, but she doesn't lack in determination.
It wasn't that difficult because I was born with one hand, and I think it would have been harder if I was born with 2 hands and then lost one. But my parents were definitely really supportive. I was involved with Texas Scottish Rite Hospital for Children, and they were always there to help me.
With the extra support, Natalie pushed past the adversity.
I think it was just getting used to the fact that I was different from other kids physically, and of course everyone's different, but mine was a more noticeable difference. So I think just getting used to that.
Natalie didn't let that difference stop her. She just allowed it to be an addition to the individual she was.
My brother was in band, and he's 2 years older than me, so I would always go to the football games. And I saw the color guard there, and I thought it was so cool and obviously so pretty. And they also came to my school and talked to us, and so I just figured, why not try it out? And they were all super okay with me having one hand and just said that we'd figure it out. I think I like the fact that it's such a team sport. It's such a good way to bond with other people, and everything is so synchronized that you have to be together and you have to be kind of on the same mindset about everything. So it's definitely a good way to meet people and bond with them.
We're back for more ACU football on the Ken Collums Show. ACU getting some time off from conference play today. Coach, it's not an LSC game, but are you treating this game any differently than you would a conference game?
Well, the time off you just said is kind of a joke because these guys you don't take any time off when you play West Alabama. These guys are good. They're going to come in here. They're ultra talented. Their strong point is their defense. They've got probably the best defensive end that we'll face all year. They've got defensive tackles that can compress, and they can rush. They can really rush the passer as good as anybody we've seen, as good as West Texas. So we've got our work cut out for us on that front. Their linebackers are really good tacklers. Their secondary's got 17 interceptions on the year, and you don't get that if you can't A, play the ball, or B, get pressure on the quarterback. And a lot of times that happens because the quarterback's picking up his helmet at the end of the play. I mean, they hit the quarterback constantly, constant pressure. They will run the ball on offense. They're very similar to Midwestern, so they throw the ball a little bit more, probably 20 times a game. But we're going to have to do a good job against the run, which we've done okay this year against the run.
Coach, like you said, they like to get after the passer that everybody on the front 7 can rush. How are you going to be able to protect Mitchell Gale maybe just long enough to get the ball out to his playmakers?
Yeah, well, we've figured out about 2.7 seconds is about all he wants to hold the ball, and then that potato starts getting hot in his hands. So we've got to we'll change up our protections a little bit just to make sure we can shore up those defensive ends. Because if you don't, they're going to beat one-on-one protection at least half the time. These guys are really good.
Well, last week West Alabama played Delta State, and it was just as much of a physical game as ACU's game last week was against Commerce. How important is it for every member of your team that's out on the field to kind of keep their cool and not lose it like they did last week?
Well, it'll be a deal where we've talked about that, and that's, you know, the discipline and poise has to come into play. You know, with West Alabama, they've got some guys. They had a guy, you know, get kicked out of the game last week. So it could be, you know, it'll be a highly competitive game. Two good teams getting after each other. So, but they'll, you know, I'm sure their guys will learn from what happened last week against Delta, and we have to. But I don't see anything coming out of that. But I fully expect two teams to be very physical and to get after each other.
Coach, they've got 4 or 5 guys over 200 yards rushing, so they run the ball a lot, but they have a lot of different options. How do you guys plan to deal with all those different options running the football?
Well, in that poses a problem, just like it did against Midwestern. Anytime you can run the quarterback, and he's pretty good, that you can create numbers for yourself on offense versus a defense. And Coach Doolin and those guys on the defensive side, they're doing a good job. We've got a good plan together, and you know, it starts with the defensive line. It always starts with the offensive and defensive line in the game of football, and we've got to get it lined up properly and get our hands on those offensive linemen. They got some big linemen too that can really move you. So our leverage has got to be right, our hands and our eyes, and we'll compress those running lanes and hopefully keep those quarterbacks and running backs running sideways instead of up and down the field.
Well, something that you don't usually see at this level is a double quarterback offense. They've got, like you said, a quarterback that's really able to run the ball. They've also got a quarterback that gets a job done in the air. You should be able to identify, you know, what's going to happen based on the quarterback that's out on the field. How are you going to sort of be able to read that?
Sure. I mean, because they don't play two of them at the same time, you'll be able to see who's coming in, who's going out, and they'll have tendencies just like anybody will in their certain packages with those quarterbacks. But you know, that's all good. But the bottom line is you got to line up and stop them. They could do 3 things the entire game, and you know what's coming. You still got to line up and play ball and play clean and play well.
Coach, even though this is a non-conference game, it's a really big game for West Alabama. Sitting at 7-2, they're maybe on the fringe for the playoffs. How cool would it be to play spoiler and defend your home field here in a couple hours?
Well, the bottom line is they're 7-2. They've lost to 2 really good teams. They lost to Samford, which is an FCS school, and then Midwestern. And so they're gonna plan on coming in here and playing really well. And for us to be a spoiler, that'd be cool. But you know what would be better is just to win a college football game against a quality opponent in Shotwell Stadium. And we've practiced well, and we've prepared well, and our guys are ready. And I think we'll go out and do that.
Well, the kickoff today is an early one, 12 o'clock out at Shotwell Stadium. Lance Fleming will bring you the pregame show on Mix 92.5 starting at 11:30. For Coach Ken Collums and Matthew Sloan, I'm Taylor Langston. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.